Hi, and welcome back to Making Space to Make. This is week 8, and today we are diving into something you've all been asking about, and that is specific furniture ideas for sewing spaces. Over the past couple weeks, I've mentioned that we'd get into furniture details, and here we are. Whether you are working with a tight budget, a small space, or you're ready to invest in some dedicated pieces, I have got options for you. We're going to cover cutting table ideas for all spaces and budgets, some sewing table solutions, and I'll show you my current setup that I absolutely love. Plus, I heard from several of you about using kitchen counters and islands for cutting, which I think is brilliant, and I want to talk about that too. The theme remains the same: function over form, and finding solutions that actually work for how you sew. First, let me share something that I heard from several of you that I think is so smart, and that's using your kitchen counters or kitchen islands for cutting when the kitchen isn't in use. This is really genius for several reasons. Kitchen counters are usually the perfect height for cutting. They're designed to take hard use, so you don't really have to worry about damaging the surface like you might with a dining room table. And most kitchens have really great lighting. The only consideration here is timing, since you will need to work around meal prep. But if you're someone who does most of your cutting in one session anyway, this could really be perfect. If you don't have a built-in island, but you love this idea and have room in your sewing space, you can buy freestanding kitchen islands. Many have wooden surfaces that work really well for pinning and cutting. They're the right height, and some even have storage underneath. I've seen them in a lot of my friends' sewing rooms, and they do really work great. They can range anywhere from around $120 for a simple one to $500 or more for a larger, more substantial piece. The main thing to keep in mind here is that kitchen islands are not designed to move frequently, so make sure you're happy with where you place it. Let's start with the most affordable options and work our way up. The cheapest dedicated cutting surface you can buy is probably a folding table at around $70 and up for an adjustable height one. Just keep an eye on the width because many folding tables are pretty narrow and you might need two to accommodate most fabric widths. Also, watch out for that textured surface that can be on the top of some of them. It might make pattern tracing difficult. My current cutting table is made from IKEA pieces and I really do love it. I used 4 trestles and 2 countertops to create a large square surface. The countertops are screwed together underneath for stability, and we added custom plywood shelving between the trestles for storage. The cost breaks down to about $60 per trestle, and the countertops are $169 currently each. So for a large cutting surface with storage, you're looking at around $580 to $600, including the plywood. I do not remember how much those cost. The modularity is what I love though, and I can easily lower the height and move it if needed. For small spaces, swing out arm tables or gate leg tables are fantastic. Many are standing height, they're collapsible when not in use, and lots have built-in storage. Prices range from about $160 to $350 from what I could find. My mom has had one for the last 30 or so years and still uses it to this day. The only potential downside of these is that depending on the quality, the legs can be a little shaky, but that's pretty manageable and the space-saving benefits usually really outweigh it. If you are ready to invest in something that will literally last forever and you also have plenty of space, industrial cutting tables are modular and incredibly sturdy. I actually have one of these, but it was too big and heavy to get upstairs to my sewing room, so John uses it for shipping now. They run about $25 a square foot, so they're not cheap, but they're built to last for decades. Adjustable height desks are another great investment option, especially if you want something that can do double duty for cutting and other work. The Husky adjustable work table is very popular and it runs around $400. And IKEA has an electric sit-stand desk that's about $600. Again, check the width of these before you buy, as some of them can be quite narrow, but there are wider options. For sewing tables, honestly, any desk will work. I used to use a small white IKEA Mickey desk for my serger and cover stitch machines for years. It's about $65 and it has a drawer underneath for tools and supplies, so it's really not a bad option. And it also comes in a bunch of different sizes. You can use a desk you already have or get a separate one. The main consideration is whether you'll be sharing it with a computer. which means cleaning up between tasks. Here's what I'm using now, which I really love again. I have one long sewing table made from 2 IKEA countertops with Alex drawer units and 2 legs. One table has my main sewing machine and the other has my serger and cover stitch. Each table section uses one countertop. On the machine side, closest to my cutting table, I have a pair of legs to make moving things around the room easier and have things visually look more open. The remainder of the tables are supported by an Alex drawer unit. The drawers house everything I need for both machines while providing really sturdy support, which is important because you do need to match the sturdiness of your table to your machine's strength. A light table with a powerful machine will give you a very shaky sewing experience. The cost breakdown is about $169 for each countertop, $750 per leg, and $95 per drawer unit. So each table runs about $470, but you get massive storage and a really solid work surface. If you want something purpose-made and have room for a dedicated sewing station, sewing cabinets are designed specifically for this. Your machine sets into the table, which is better for accuracy and is always ready to sew. In my smaller spaces, I really loved my sewing machine table for these exact reasons. It now lives at our family cottage as a little sewing setup away from home. These cabinets range from about $130 for a basic model with no storage up to $2,000, $3,000 and more for all the bells and whistles like an electric lift, or some of the really big machines have specific tables that are quite expensive. The downside to these is they are expensive and they are one-job furniture, so I'd recommend them for people who are really committed to sewing long-term and have enough room. A few things to keep in mind as you think about what furniture might work for you. If you're sewing at a table or a desk, you'll need to sit higher than you would for computer work because of the extra height of your machine. An adjustable height chair is going to be your friend here. I prefer one with wheels since there's a lot of sitting and standing and backing out from the machine. Think about whether you need integrated storage or you have room for separate storage. And again, make sure your table can handle your machine. A heavy-duty machine needs a sturdy surface. This week, I want you to assess what you actually need. Look at your current cutting and sewing setup and ask, what is working about your current furniture and what isn't? Are you constantly fighting with height issues? Do you not have enough surface area, or is storage the main problem? Then think about your space and budget realistically. Don't feel like you need to buy everything at once. You can absolutely upgrade one piece at a time. Now, if you're considering any of these options, please measure your space first. I know that sounds really obvious, but it's so easy to fall in love with a piece of furniture online and just say, yeah, I'll be able to make this work for sure. Then discover it actually won't fit where you need it. Remember, you don't need perfect furniture to sew well. I have made beautiful things on dining tables, at desks that were too low, on surfaces that weren't ideal. Good furniture just makes the process more enjoyable, but it's not a requirement for good sewing. The right furniture can make your sewing time much more enjoyable and efficient, but remember, it's about function, not perfection. Find solutions that work for your space, your budget, and how you actually sew. Next week, we're moving into workflow and systems, things like how to create task zones that make your sewing process even smoother, even in small spaces. Thanks for all your great suggestions about kitchen islands and counters, and please keep sharing what works for you. I love hearing about everyone's setups, issues, etc. So I will be back here on Fridays. I will see you then. Bye-bye.